Hi everyone, welcome to or back to my channel. I'm Sally and this is my channel Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I love to talk all about sewing and making clothes. I hope you're all doing well today and having a really lovely day so far. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you everything I brought from this year's knitting and stitching show up in Alexandra Palace in London. As you can probably see from the thumbnail of this video and what's behind me here, I did get quite a few things this year. I was really pleased with everything I got. So I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you today. Before we get started, I'll just quickly share with you what I'm wearing because I know that I keep forgetting to do that. Today I am wearing my Lighthouse sweater by We Are Knitters. This is quite an old make actually. If you're a knitter, I don't know if you do this as well. Sometimes your knits will evoke certain memories of what you were doing or what was happening at the time that you were knitting. And with this one, I had just had COVID and it was around that time when if you had it, you had to isolate for 2 weeks. And it was such a strange time because me and the kids had it. My husband managed to avoid it somehow, but he was still at home because he had to isolate as well. And then when I was feeling a little bit better, I was knitting this jumper. So it just reminds me of that weird sort of time. So this will always be my COVID jumper. So I haven't actually had this one out for quite some time. It's gone a little bit, it's kind of lost its shape a little bit. It's gone a little bit baggy. So I think I actually need to reblock this or try and reshape it a little bit. It's so warm as well. It's one of those knits which is actually quite fine, so it's quite loopy because it's thin yarn but it's knit on large needles, but because the fibres are so fluffy you really do get quite warm in it, so it's a really good one for the cold weather. So I'm going to probably be absolutely sweating by the time I finish this video because I'm already feeling a little bit hot. Anyway, we will see how we go. So the knitting and stitching show, let me just share what that is if you don't know. We have two knitting and stitching shows, and one is in Harrogate, so up north, and one is in London. And every year for a good few years now, me and my mum have gone down to London for the October show, and it's just a really nice thing that we do together. My mum is more of a knitter than a sewer, so she's normally there for the knitting and I'm there for all of the fabric and that kind of stuff. So it runs for about 4 days, I think, from Thursday to Sunday, normally around the beginning of October, and there's so much that you can do there. So they run loads of different workshops that you can book onto if you want to. They have quilting exhibitions, sometimes design exhibitions as well that you can look around, but the best part in my opinion is that they have two huge rooms which are just filled with stalls and stands of people selling fabric and yarn and patterns and everything you could wish for really in the sewing and knitting world. So there will be lots of brands that you maybe have seen on Instagram or in the sewing pattern world, like Tilly and the Buttons are often there, Sew Over It. And then the fabric companies, Fabric Godmother always have a really nice stand. Sister Mintaka was there as well. And then in the middle of the room they have these really, really big sort of tables filled with fabric as well. So yeah, it really is a sewer and a knitter's dream. And there are loads of yarn companies as well, like independent yarn dyers, independent knitting pattern sellers and all of that kind of stuff. It really is very interesting and it's a good way to get to know other small businesses as well. So you always come away with lots of cards for businesses that you maybe never would have heard about if you hadn't been there. I just want to say thank you as well if you did pop over to me and say hello. It was so nice to meet everyone there and just kind of say hello to a few people. So yeah, thank you so much. If you did see me and say hello, I'm really grateful. And I just want to apologise as well because I had kind of planned to film a little bit of the show while I was there and just get the camera out and show you a little bit of footage. But as it happened, our train journey was a little bit delayed and it took us quite a long while to get there. We ended up getting there a little bit later than normal. We had a perfectly adequate amount of time, but for me, I just felt a little bit more sort of stressed by the journey than I normally am. And also because I'm there with my mum, I just wanted it to be a really nice sort of relaxed day where I wasn't sort of filming and trying to make content around it. But if you are on Instagram or YouTube actually, you've probably seen quite a bit of footage of the show anyway. But anyway, let's get on to what I actually bought at the show. I've got quite a big pile of fabric behind me, but actually I don't think there's as much as there looks because some of the fabric is quite big and bulky and I think that's making it look like more than there is. So I brought a few sort of interesting little bits and pieces and I think I will share those with you first and then I will move on to the fabric after that. So let me share this cute little pattern that I picked up first of all. Actually, I'm going to take this out of the plastic so I think it might glare a little bit on the camera. So this year they had a full stand of Tilda fabrics. I think it was actually part of another like fabric shop, but they had like a branch of Tilda fabrics there. And if you're a quilter or even a hand sewer, or you like making toys and dolls and things, then I'm sure you probably have heard of Tilda. When I was in my Etsy shop days, I used to absolutely love their fabric. They've got that sort of nod to vintage style, kitsch sort of feeling to all of their fabrics. They're just so lovely, and they put the most beautiful colours together. So I was really pleased to see the Tilda stall there. They had loads of quilting fabrics, which I didn't actually buy, and they have everything set out in like fat quarter bundles where they've paired all the colours together and everything. It just looks so lovely. But I would say they are one of the more like high-end quilting fabric companies or designers or whatever, so their fabrics can be quite pricey. Anyway, I've made a couple of Tilda animals for my daughter when she was little, and they sit on her windowsill now. I made them when she was quite young, but I really enjoy making them. I've got a couple of the Tilda books, and they have some of the like long-legged animals in there. So I've made an elephant and I've made a giraffe. I'll try and pop a picture in if I can. And they had on this stand kits all made up, so I decided to pick up this cow pattern. So this is really cute, and I think I've mentioned before that my daughter is really into Highland cows. So it comes with the pattern and the fabric to make the cow as well. In the book there are various different little outfits and things that you can make for the animals. So I love making toys like this. I've made quite a few sort of cloth dolls and things, which you probably already know, so I just couldn't resist picking up one of these kits, and I went for the cow, and it was £9. It includes the pattern and the instructions. Everything is all laid out in here, and then at the back of the booklet you've just got the pattern there that you can just cut out and then cut the pieces out from the fabric, and it's all sort of provided for you, which I think is actually quite handy when you're making these kind of toys, because you do have to have a specific kind of fabric, something that's going to hold its shape really well and be quite strong and sturdy, and it can sometimes be quite hard to find the right fabrics. So this is the fabric for the cow's body. Ooh, and it's that colour, so it's actually going to be a little bit darker actually, I think, than what the cow looks like from the front. And then we've got the tiny little bit of cream, which I think is just for the cow's horns. I do love a good kit actually. I love it when you've got everything all there for you and just ready to go. It just takes out some of the hassle of the whole thing, doesn't it? I was actually looking at some of the lunar lapping bunnies and animals that they have in that range now, because they have always caught my eye every time I've been there, and I've always thought I would really like to make one up, but I haven't actually done it yet. Okay, so let's move on to another little kit that I picked up. They had a lot of crochet and knitting stalls with loads of origami crochet toy kits, little animals that you could crochet up, and I decided to get one of those because I love a little crochet animal project. There was a time when I couldn't crochet, and I thought I would never be able to make all these toys that I kept seeing all the time that just looked so cute, and I really wanted to make them. But my mum once got me a Toft kit, and I had a go at it, and I watched the tutorials that they have online, which are really helpful, by the way. If you're like me and you think you're never going to get the hang of crochet, do pop over and watch some of the Toft tutorials. I think it's Kerry from Toft. She's really good at explaining how to do the whole origami crochet process thing, and once you've got it, it's really quite similar for each animal that you make. So I decided to get this one, which is Franco the frog, and he is just a little round frog with some little bulbousy eyes with black embroidery and two cute little arms. It must be quite tiny actually, because this is the size of the ball of yarn that you actually get for the frog, so I think he's going to be quite a bit smaller than he actually looks on the front of this kit. But they do have loads of other animals as well. They had a little lion, I think, a little pig, little teddy, a little bear, and it was actually quite hard for me to choose which animal to go for. I see these kits quite a lot actually in TK Maxx and HomeSense, so if you have one of those shops local to you, pop in, because sometimes they do have these kits available for cheaper than what I actually paid on the day, I think, and it's worth having a look. But yeah, that's that one. While I am talking about hand sewing and crochet and projects that can be quite difficult on the eyes, I just want want to give a quick mention to today's video sponsor, which is Serious Readers, and I want to thank Serious Readers for being such a great support to my channel over the past few months. It's been really lovely working with them. So if you haven't heard of Serious Readers before, they are a lovely local to me company that build bespoke lighting options that are great for crafters like you and me that spend a lot of time doing intricate work like knitting, sewing and crochet, which can be quite difficult on the eyes, especially as we're coming into the darker months now. So you probably will have seen the light that I have on my channel quite a lot. I have a floor standing light, and this light has a lightweight base, meaning that it's really easy to pick up and move from room to room depending on what and where I'm working on. I mainly keep it in my living room since that's where I do all of my close-up work, really, like reading and knitting and crochet and hand sewing, but I do move it into the dining room when I need to so that I can get a really good focus on what I might be cutting out or tracing at my dining table as well. All Serious Readers HD lights are actually fitted with something called daylight wavelength technology, which is such a mouthful to say, and I always fumble my words when I try to say it. But daylight wavelength technology is something that actually replicates the daylight spectrum as close as is technically possible, meaning that you feel as though you're working in daylight, even though you're actually cozy in your room at home, probably with the curtains closed around 4 o'clock in the winter time here in the UK. The lights are also fitted with a beam width function and a dimmer switch as well, so it's possible to get just the right amount of light and focus exactly on what you're working on. Serious Readers have loads of lighting options available on their website, ranging from floor standing lights like my one and also desk lamps as well. Each light is fitted with a flexible neck, meaning that you can angle it on whatever you're working on and get just the right focus, and the head actually swivels right round as well so that you can focus on just what you need to. What I love about the light is that it enables me to carry on with my crafting into the evening without having to put the big light on when the rest of the family is watching TV or trying to have a cozy evening. I know that I'm going to be making really good use of my light over the autumn winter time, particularly if I'm going to be working on small projects like that little origami frog and my Tilda Highland cow, because there is quite a bit of close-up work there that I'm going to need to be focusing on. Serious Readers are actually offering £100 off of any HD light on their website using my code Sally24. This offer also includes free UK delivery and a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can buy with confidence. I'll leave the details on the screen here while I'm talking, and also in the description below this video, so that you can pop over and check out their website when you've finished watching this video. Thank you again to Serious Readers for sponsoring this part of the video. Okay, let's continue with the little bits and bobs that I brought from the show. So this year there was a lovely stand. I don't think I've seen it before, but there's a lovely man who dealt in vintage prints and vintage sewing patterns. So he had loads of sort of covers of women's magazines from the US and the UK, and they were all framed like with the front cover of those magazines. And if I had a sewing room, I would have probably gone mad in there and bought loads of prints and had them all up in my sewing room because they're just so lovely. But for me, I was mainly interested in the vintage sewing patterns, so I had a good old rifle through their box on the table to see what I could find. I don't have many vintage sewing patterns, and I've never actually sewn a vintage sewing pattern. It's something that I would love to have a go at some point. So let me show you the patterns that I chose. I think I better take these out of the plastic. I don't know, are they going to glare? Yeah, they are. Okay, I'll take them out of the plastic so that you can see the covers. So the first pattern I went for was this Woman's Realm. It says Woman's Realm special pattern, and it's for a shirt dress. And I think when you see this picture, you'll know that it's just right up my street. It's got 3 different versions. One of them is like a long maxi shirt dress, one is a mini shirt dress, and one just has no sleeves and no collar. It also has like a button, what do you call that, like a button placket that covers the actual buttons, can't think of the word. It also has a fabric belt as well, and I just loved the styling of this, and I thought it was just So lovely. Now I should say that I have made a bit of an error buying these patterns because I didn't realise actually that you're buying the size that you want to make. Yeah, I'm not sure what that one is actually. I need to have a better look at it. But even if I can't actually make these up, I'm really going to enjoy just getting all the bits out and having a look at the instructions and how different they are to the patterns of these days, and just looking at the pattern pieces and all that kind of stuff. I love looking at things like that, so it's going to be interesting to me anyway. And then I got this one as well just because, again, I really like the style of this dress on the front. It's got a really lovely V-neck, empire cut under the bust, and then this nice little round frilly collar. And I think we can all agree that there are quite a few patterns out there at the moment that kind of are replicating this kind of collar. So I really like the style of it. Again, I really like the maxi length version, and the mini versions are also really cute, and the sleeves are puffy and they've got these cuffs as well. So I'll just put that as close to the camera as I can, hopefully it will focus. So with this one, it does say girls dress in 2 lengths, but on the front of the pattern it actually says size 10, breast 28.5 inches. Anyway, even if I can't make it up, as I say, I'm going to enjoy having a good old look at that, and it's really funny, I think anyway, that is 40p, so 40p for that pattern. And then lastly, this one is a little bit tatty actually, but I don't think it's been cut inside. So this is a Woman's Realm special pattern again, and I really like the style of these jackets on the front. I think this is a 60s style, correct me again if I'm wrong, but it's just that sort of A-line style coat or dress, button down, collar or pussy bow neckline, and I just really like the style. I would love to make that coat actually. I think version B here, the collarless red coat is really nice. Just has lovely patch pockets, buttons all the way down. It looks as though it wouldn't be too difficult to sew, but famous last words. Actually, this one is one of the patterns that does say bust 36, so it's going to be a little bit big for me, I think. The funny thing about these vintage patterns is that they don't have any finished garment measurements unless there's anything inside. So I normally go very much from the finished garment measurements when I'm choosing my size, so I think that's even more difficult when it comes to vintage patterns. But again, just looking forward to having a good old look at those. And then lastly, in bits and bobs, I just thought I'd share that I picked up some little buttons. So I'm planning to sew the grain line Archer shirt, so I thought I would just get some little buttons that I could maybe use for that. They're just in an off-white, and then I just got these ones as well, because I find it really difficult to get bright white buttons. I feel like there's a lot of off-white and a lot of cream, but not necessarily like actual white. So I thought while I was there, I would just pick those up as well. Okay, so let's move on to the fabrics then, shall we? One of the nicest stalls at the Knitting and Stitching show, I think anyway, is the Higgs and Higgs stand. They always set it out so nicely, and their fabrics always seem such good quality as well. And there was so much on their stand that I could have bought, but I managed to limit myself to just one thing. I did go with my list actually, because I had my Notion table all on my phone with the patterns that I want to make and then the amount of fabric that I needed for each pattern. So I was going with a purpose and I was going to try not to get distracted. However, this was a little bit of a distraction. I wasn't intending to buy this, but their jerseys are just so lovely, and I find them really, really soft as well. So I've gone for one of my usual stripy fabrics. They had this in so many different colours. My favourite khaki colour, this lovely sort of taupe brown colour, and I think what I'm going to make with this is just yet another cocoa top, because I don't think you can ever have too many. So on camera, I don't know if it's going to show up that this is actually brown. When I got it home, I thought, I hope it's not too similar to my mustard top, my mustard cocoa top that I've already made. And I was wearing something on the day. I was wearing my cream jacket, Smith jacket, which I've not even shared with you yet, and I thought it would go really nicely underneath that in the brown, so that's why I went for this colour really. But this is a cotton jersey. I don't normally go for cotton jerseys, but this one is really soft and it has a really nice sort of bit of stretch to it and a bit of drape to it as well. It doesn't feel too crisp like some cotton jerseys can feel. So yeah, this is just going to be a simple cocoa top again, I think, with the 3/4 sleeves. I only got 1 metre of this, so this time I'm going to make sure that I cut the cocoa length a little bit shorter, because I think I've mentioned before that it does come up quite long and I always end up thinking that I need more fabric than I do. It's really wide as well, so I think it should be plenty really to get a cocoa top out of that. That was £12.99 a metre, I think, and if I can link any of these fabrics below the video, then I will. Next, I'll share the one and only viscose fabric that I brought. I didn't buy any. I said to my mum, actually, I don't feel like I brought any very pretty fabrics. They're all very practical and you'll probably see what I mean as I'm going through this, but no viscoses really caught my eye on the day. This was from a stand called Lily Fabrics. They always have a huge stand in the middle of the haul and they have so many fabrics all piled on top of each other, and you really do have to sort of search and see what they've got. It is a viscose. They had it listed as a viscose, I think, but it feels quite weighty. It feels like it's got quite a good thickness to it. So I'm hoping that I've got my colours right with this and I haven't gone too black. I think I mentioned this before actually, but when you're shopping in that haul, the lights are so harsh because obviously it's a big haul and they need to light it well, and sometimes I find anyway it's quite difficult to see the colours properly, and sometimes you need to get them home and look at them in daylight and then you think, oh actually that's a little bit lighter or that's a bit darker than I thought it was. So again with this, when I was looking at this, I thought it was a little bit more kind of charcoal grey, and then when I got it home it is actually a bit more black. However, it does have the browny yellow tones to it, so I'm hoping I can get away with this in my colour chart. This is for one of the maxi dresses that I want to make for winter time. I said in my plans video last week or a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to make just a couple more winter long dresses that I can wear with tights and boots. So I got 3 meters of this, and this was £4.99 a metre. Very good value. When I got this home, I wondered if it would actually make quite a nice shorter dress. And something that I've never made as a dress is the Marni, and I never thought I would want to make it as a dress actually, but I was thinking that actually this would look really nice as a short Marni dress with tights, like black tights and chunky boots, and I thought that would be a really nice winter dress. So let me know what you think. Should I make like a shirt dress in this, a long shirt dress, or should I make a shorter dress? Next, I brought some cord fabric for my Ramona skirt by Tilly and the Buttons. So this is the Ramona skirt by Tilly and the Buttons. It's just a simple A-line mini skirt, or you can make it as more of a midi skirt if you want to. And this one caught my eye. Where did I get this? Oh, this was from Higgs and Higgs as well actually. I think this was £12.99 a metre again. I'll try and find it on the website again and link it below. This is a bubble cord. It's quite a chunky, like the lines are quite chunky. So quite a chunky cord, and it's called a bubble cord as well. So it's just got that sort of bumpy texture to it. And I was looking for like a burgundy colour, and this is the closest that I got to burgundy. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this colour. I think it's a good mix between pink and red. And I think it will look really nice just paired with either a cream top or jumper on top, or like a black or dark grey on top. So I have just a metre of this because you're supposed to be able to get the mini skirt out of a metre. So with this, I'm actually going to line the skirt, and I do have some lining fabrics already at home, so I think I'm just going to use one of those. This, you know, with cords sometimes it does feel a little bit sticky on the back and as if it's going to stick to your tights. This one actually feels a little bit smoother, and it doesn't feel as though you're going to get that kind of rubbing against what you're wearing underneath. But I think I'm still going to line it just in case. And also I just want to have a go at lining a skirt really, because I don't think I've ever properly lined a skirt, an A-line skirt. So that's going to be something else to learn. I'm really excited to get making this actually. So I'm going to get this in the wash after this video, and then hopefully I can get on with that quite soon. I'm getting fibres of fabric all over me and all over the floor. There's fluff everywhere. So let's move on to this one, because this one is really lovely and cozy, and I'm so pleased that I got this. I was umming and ahhing as to whether or not to go for it. This is a boucle fabric, which I picked up from another store called M. Rosenberg, I think. I'm not quite sure if they have an Instagram page or a website, but if they do, then I'll link below, because they were just another one of those huge tables with fabrics everywhere. So I've never worked with a boucle fabric before, but it just feels so cozy, and they had various different colours of these. I went for a cream. So what I want to make with this one is my collarless jacket, which I also mentioned in my autumn plans video, and I'll pop in a photo here, which is my inspiration photo. So what I'm going to try and do with this is actually just use a pattern that I already have and just adapt it and to make a similar style jacket. This feels pretty warm actually as it is. It's quite fleecy on the back of it, so I don't think I'm going to need to line it. I'm going to have a think about that, because it might make it more wearable to have lining in it if you're going to be wearing like a jumper or something underneath it. It might make it easier to get on and off if I put a lining in it, but it does feel super cozy. By the way, if you are one of my new Patreon followers or members, and keep your eyes peeled, because I'm going to be having a video all about this coming up over there. So that's what I'm planning to sew with this lovely fabric, and I think this one was a bit more expensive. I think it was around £15 a metre, and I had to get 2 metres. I mean, it's not that expensive, but it was a bit more of a bigger purchase for me, this one. So yeah, that's that one. I feel like I could just keep this on me actually as a blanket. It's so soft and cozy. And then lastly, I picked up another wool blend fabric, and I'm not sure exactly what this is, but it feels kind of scratchy. It's some kind of wool blend, and I didn't take enough notice of what it actually was to be able to tell you. But you won't be able to see, but on the back it feels as though it's kind of got a knitted texture, and then on the front it's sort of got this this is a dark charcoal grey, I think, and it's got some lighter fibres kind of mixed through it, so it's kind of a mix of dark grey and light grey, and it feels as though it's got a bit of a bobbly texture. So with this one actually, I think I am going to have to line it, because the underneath feels quite scratchy, and I think even though it doesn't probably need it warmth wise, it'll probably just make it a little bit more wearable. And I did wonder actually about finding some kind of light fleece that I could line the inside of the jacket with to make it even more cozy for winter time. I'm not sure if this is machine washable, and I wish I had thought to ask. So I think I'm going to kind of err on the side of caution and not wash it, but I really love this, and I can't wait to try and make a nice cozy Ilford jacket for winter time with this. I do need to find the lining, and I wish I'd found some at the show. I didn't think to look for a lining actually. So I think I'm actually just going to pop over to our local Hobbycraft and have a look and see what they've got in there that I could maybe use for a lining. But I really want to get on with making this as well, so that I can have it in my wardrobe soon. I think it would be a really good one for this kind of time of year where it's not absolutely freezing, but it's still quite chilly as well. So stay tuned for that make too. I'm really looking forward to getting on with all of these makes. I'm very excited for all of them. Funny, because at the show I was saying again to my mum that my tastes in what I want to sew have really changed recently. So normally I would go there just looking for pretty viscoses, pretty sort of dress fabrics and blouse fabrics, but this time I was very much all about the coating fabrics. I saw so many coat fabrics that I could have bought for various different jackets, loads of quilted fabrics, loads of like fleece lined denims and checked wools and things like that, and they were really catching my eye, and I probably could have bought just loads of coat fabric, but I didn't need to do that. So I tried to be good and rein myself into just these 2 coating fabrics. So that is my knitting and stitching show haul for this year. I feel really pleased with what I got, and I feel like I was very kind of restrained there as well. And apart from the stripy fabric, I did try and stick to my list as much as possible. So no yarn and no wool this year. Again, there just wasn't really anything that caught my eye, and actually I do have a few knitting projects lined up already, so I didn't necessarily want to buy any yarn this time. Thank you so much for watching everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. You can also follow me over on Instagram for more day-to-day photos and behind the scenes of what I'm sewing and making. You can now also join me over on Patreon, and it's all about sort of diving deeper into sewing, helping each other out, sharing what we're working on, and you'll also be able to have access to lots of extra bonus sewing content from me as well, photos, videos, tutorials and all that kind of stuff. So I will leave those details down below as well. It's all brand new and very exciting over there at the moment. Let me know if you went to the knitting and stitching show as well, and let me know how you found it and what you brought and whether you had a good time. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like as well. I think that's everything I need to say. So take care everyone, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video soon. Bye.